Like, I'm scared. Like, when am I gonna have kids? I don't have a fucking car yet.
She was 23 years old, active, healthy, building her life one step at a time. Then one morning, she didn't wake up, and the way her family found out, a note on a door, not a phone call, not a knock from a detective, a landlord's note with a number to call. That was how a mother learned her daughter was gone. And the more this family dug into what happened, the more they were met with silence, dismissal, and a system that clearly did not think Lauren Smithfields was worth the effort. If you are new here, welcome to Crime Pocket TV, the channel that does not look away. Hit subscribe right now because this is the kind of story that needs to be heard. And we are just getting started. Lauren Smithfields was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut. She ran track in high school, was studying physical therapy in college, and was running her own home-based business on the side. She traveled, she had been to different countries. She kept a consistent presence on social media and had a natural energy in front of a camera that people genuinely loved, like she was out here living. Working out was part of her daily routine. She was disciplined about what went into her body, fashion, makeup, travel. That was her world. She was someone who had a whole future lined up, and the people who loved her knew exactly who she was. In December of 2021, Lauren was on Bumble, a dating app. That is where she came across Matthew LaFountain, a 37-year-old man from Milford, Connecticut. They exchanged messages for 3 days before agreeing to meet in person. On the evening of December 11th, Matthew came to Lauren's apartment on Plymouth Street in Bridgeport. That night, the two of them ate food and took shots of tequila together. At some point, Lauren started feeling sick. She stepped away to the bathroom, came back, apologized, and they kept going. More drinks, games, more food, a movie. Just before midnight, around 11:50, Lauren stepped outside to hand her brother Lee some clothes he had come to pick up. Matthew stayed inside. Lee said she was fine, laughing, talking, completely herself. Not a single thing about her seemed off. She went back inside, used the bathroom again. They settled in to finish the movie. And then Lauren fell asleep on the couch. At 6:30 in the morning on December 12th, Matthew called 911. He told them Lauren wasn't breathing. When first responders arrived, they found Lauren on her back on the bedroom floor. Unresponsive, she was pronounced gone, and based on what investigators observed, she had likely been gone for at least an hour before that call was even made. Let me tell you something. The responding officer noted that Matthew appeared visibly shaken, and the detective on scene made a read. In his opinion, Matthew seemed like a decent guy. That was it. That was the assessment. Matthew was not tested. No DNA was taken from him. No thorough questioning happened. The apartment was not secured, and Matthew was allowed to leave. Now, here is where it gets heavy. Lauren's cash, over $300, was collected. Her passport, her credit card, her phone, taken as evidence, but the other things in that apartment, a used condom in the bathroom, a bottle of lubricant, a pill sitting on the counter, the bed sheets, 2 cups with liquid still in them. None of it was collected. Moving on, because the story does not stop there. Lauren's family heard nothing from the Bridgeport Police Department after that morning. Not a call, not a visit, nothing. On December 13th, Lauren's mother, Chantel, and her brother Lee drove to that apartment themselves. The landlord had left a note on the door with a number to call. That was how they found out. A note. They were directed to contact Detective Kevin Cronin. When Lee reached him and asked about the man who had been with Lauren, the detective's tone was dismissive. He said the guy seemed like a really nice person, told the family he would come see them. He never showed. Said he would call back. He didn't. From December 13th all the way to December 29th, 17 days, the family heard nothing from Bridgeport PD. They kept calling. At some point, they were reportedly told to stop. All we keep getting is doors closed in our face and empty promises. That was not a small thing. That was a family screaming into a wall. On December 29th, Lauren's family went back to the apartment to collect her belongings. A different detective showed up this time, one who was actually straightforward. He acknowledged openly that the detective who handled the case first had not done his job.
Now to an I-Team exclusive. There are new questions about the police investigation into the dating app death of a young woman, Lauren Smith Fields, in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Investigative reporter Sarah Wallace delves into that mystery.
They wanted us to forget about our daughter, their sister, our loved one. They thought they was gonna just throw her away like she was
garbage.
Amid this family's anguish are emotions of outrage and disgust at how the Bridgeport Police Department has investigated the mysterious death of 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields.
It was careless. It was no concern. There was no care for the family about how we felt, our grief, our pain, none of that.
The I-Team obtained this police report of the response to a 911 call from Lauren's apartment on the morning of December 12th from a white male identified as Matthew LaFountain. The investigator notes he was trembling and visibly shaken. LaFountain said they met on the dating site Bumble, began drinking shots of tequila, and Lauren became ill. That later they played some games, ate some food, and started to watch a movie. He says he carried her to her bedroom and laid her in her bed. He then laid down next to her and fell asleep. He woke up again at approximately 0630 hours, and she was laying on her right side. Blood was coming out of her right nostril onto the bed, and she was not breathing.
The whole day goes by. No police reach out to the family at all.
Her close-knit family says they went to the apartment the next day after frantically calling and texting Lauren and were referred to a Detective Cronin.
They didn't even contact us. They didn't let us know anything. It's crazy. And I'm asking what's going on. He said she met some guy on Bumble. And I'm asking him about the guy. He was like, oh, he sounds like a really nice guy. He sounds like a really good guy. And he was like, I'll call you back, and just hung up in my face.
They say the detective promised to come by the apartment.
never showed up.
The family says the relationship with police devolved from there. No contact from December 13th until December 29th. They returned to the apartment to clear out Lauren's belongings and claim a new detective came by to say he'd taken over the case from Detective Cronin.
The detective said he effed up, he messed up, he effed Cronin, he messed up, he didn't know what he was doing, he messed up the case.
The family says they provided evidence they'd collected to crime scene investigators who arrived for the first time that day, included a bloody sheet and a pill.
And 2 cups of drinks or whatever next to a bottle. They didn't take none of that. We seen a condom, we seen lube, other stuff in there, and they didn't take none of this.
Sources close to the investigation tell the I-Team the Matthew LaFountain pictured in this social media photo, now removed, was the man at Lauren's apartment. A neighbor at his listed address in Milford confirmed LaFountain's identity, but we were unable to reach the 37-year-old who has not been accused of any wrongdoing. LaFountain's same image appeared under the name Matthew Thomas, now also taken down.
Anyone that genuinely cared and they were there, the last person there, and they know that nothing bad happened, you would at least even reach out to the family yourself. Listen, exactly. I know I'm sorry for your loss of your daughter or your sister.
The family's last contact with police was on January 4th at headquarters with their attorney.
What I believe is that the police failed to collect and preserve that environment from the first day.
The attorney has now filed a notice of claim to sue Bridgeport for negligence, claiming key evidence was not initially submitted to the state lab.
I feel like because he's a white guy and she's a black girl, it's just almost like they just thrown it under the rug.
That night she was silenced, so now we are her voice. Right. But we're here and we're fighting for her.
The Bridgeport Police Department did not respond to repeated messages we left about the case, but in previous statements, they've said the investigation is open and active, and that detectives are waiting for a final report from the medical examiner on the cause and manner of death. Sarah Wallace, News 4 New York.
Also, we just received a statement from the dating site Bumble that Sarah mentioned. A spokesperson says, we are deeply saddened by news of Lauren Smith Fields' death and have reached out directly to the family to offer support. We have been in contact with law enforcement, but they have not yet requested any information.
17 days after Lauren was found, that was the first time crime scene investigators walked into that apartment, and guess what was still there? The condom, the lubricant, the pill, the sheets, the cups, all of it. Untouched, sitting right where it had been left on December 12th. The family pointed it out. The investigators collected it finally. Now, Matthew had told police he slept in his clothes that night, told them he and Lauren had never been intimate. Make it make sense. Because those items sitting in that apartment told a completely different story, and even after that evidence was collected on December 29th, it was not immediately sent to the state lab for testing. The family was asked to submit DNA swabs. They were told the investigation could not move forward without it, so they agreed. Matthew was not asked to do the same. His attorney confirmed he declined to provide a voluntary sample. If you are finding this story important, and it is, hit that subscribe button right now. Crime Pocket TV covers cases like this one because someone has to. Don't miss what's coming next in this story. The medical examiner held their findings for over a month. When the cause of death was finally released, it said Lauren died from acute intoxication, a combination of substances, alcohol, fentanyl, and antihistamines, the kind that cause heavy drowsiness, promethazine, hydroxyzine, the kind that shut your body down and put you to sleep hard. The manner of death was ruled accidental.
An update now on a story the News 4 I team first told us about. We've learned the death of Lauren Smith Fields has been ruled an accident. This is according to the medical examiner in Connecticut, who says she died due to acute intoxication from the combined effects of fentanyl, other prescription drugs, and alcohol. Her family has told News 4's Sarah Wallace that the report just brings up more questions since they say Smith Fields was healthy and had no history of drug use. Their attorney says she died after a date with an older man she met on the dating app Bumble. And now her family plans to sue Bridgeport for negligence, claiming key evidence that could have helped determine what happened wasn't submitted to the state lab. The mayor of Bridgeport is promising an internal investigation.
Her family did not accept it, not for a single second. And honestly, when you look at who Lauren was, it is not hard to understand why. This was a woman who worked out consistently, who was disciplined about everything that went into her body, who the people closest to her described without hesitation as someone who did not use substances. Her mother was so uncomfortable with how the autopsy was handled that she paid out of pocket for a second one herself. Now, her alcohol level came back at approximately 0.3. That is not nothing, but it is also not the reading of someone who is completely gone. Yet Matthew had told police she was so intoxicated that he had to carry her to bed. Oh, so now she is drunk enough to be carried, but the alcohol level does not match that picture. Make it make sense. Her family's attorney, Darnell Crossland, broke it down plainly. The combination found in Lauren's system, sedatives and fentanyl, is not something a person takes voluntarily on a first date. Nobody going out for the first time with someone takes something that is going to knock them completely out. That specific combination is one that comes up repeatedly in situations where something was introduced into someone's drink without their knowledge. And here's the part that sat with people. Matthew had been drinking alongside Lauren all night by his own account. But his alcohol level was never tested. Only Lauren was examined. Only Lauren's system was analyzed. Anyways, moving on because the attorney had more to say.
This next story is truly heartbreaking. On December 12, 2021, 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields was reportedly found dead in her Bridgeport, Connecticut apartment by a man she had recently met on a popular dating app. A man we are not naming here as there have not been any charges brought against him. Lauren Smith Fields' family alleges the police department's handling of the case has been racially insensitive. On January 24th, the Connecticut office of the chief medical examiner ruled Lauren's death an accidental overdose of fentanyl combined with prescription medication and alcohol. And after weeks of public scrutiny over the mishandling of the case, the Bridgeport police have now opened what Lauren's family's attorney calls a botched criminal investigation 6 weeks after Lauren's mysterious and untimely death. In the spirit of seeking justice for Lauren, the family is now demanding answers and a change in protocol on how cases like these are handled. Please welcome to the show Lauren Smith Fields' mother, Chantel Fields, and the family's attorney, Darnell Crossland. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
First of all, we want to give our condolences, and we're sorry that we have to meet this way.
We're so sorry. But thank you for being with us today. Can you just tell us what you have learned about what happened to your daughter, Lauren, on December 12th, 2021?
On that day, my whole world came crashing down around me, knowing that my daughter was found lifeless in her apartment. And that person was able just to walk away. So right now, I'm just here trying to seek justice for my daughter.
Darnell, as the family's attorney, where are we now with the investigation?
Well, I'm happy to announce that based on the public outcry and based on all the support that we've gotten from people around the country and around the world, just this week, the mayor of Bridgeport has announced that the officers involved in this matter have been placed on administrative suspension. One of the officers also is forced to take early retirement. So Chantel has been calling for these officers to be removed from the streets since this case started. And so we've finally gotten just a little semblance of justice in that regard.
Wow.
Chantel, I am so sorry for your loss. I want to know what has been the biggest misconception surrounding your daughter's death?
The biggest misconception is that my daughter was on drugs. She was not on drugs. Lauren worked out every day. She was on a plant-based diet. She went to college. She had her own business in her home. There was no drugs. She was not on drugs at all. She had her whole life ahead of her.
Chantel, can you tell us a little bit more about your daughter, like the type of person she was?
Yeah.
My daughter was funny. She was, like, when she walks into a room, she lit up the whole room. She loves doing makeup. She loves hanging around with her friends. She loves family. She was very family orientated. I mean, doing her hair and just always being there for me, like going out and having mother and daughter dates, getting our nails done. Yeah. And just also just spending time together with each other, her cooking for me, or because I work so late at night, sometimes she just come over and be like, Mom, let me just grab your laundry and wash them for you. She was that type of daughter.
Wow.
So Chantel, are there any glaring suspicions surrounding your daughter's death?
The suspicions, well, what I see when I first went there that night around 9 o'clock, when I seen a note on the door saying, if you're looking for Lauren, call this number. So I called the number, no one answered. And then when we went there was no taped off or anything. The person was allowed to leave. The police never got into contact with us. We had to keep calling the police officer, and he never ever responded to us. It's like when he said he's going to come over, he never showed up. For almost, he had the family waiting for first an hour, then later on 5 hours.
What?
I find it quite odd that when we walked into her apartment, it was not taped off or anything at all. And the idea that this person wrote in the police report that they kept on drinking. If a person was already intoxicated, why would you drink more? And another thing that I find really, really suspicious, that he wrote in the police report that her brother came to see her, and he's trying to save himself and saying that her brother would give her drugs. Her brother would never do that. And that night when he met with her, she was happy, there was joking, whether she brought the clothes out to him. But then this guy said when she comes back inside the house, she can't hardly stand. She goes into the bathroom, and then he lightly carried her to the bed and laid next to her.
So Chantel, as we mentioned, the last man to see Lauren alive hasn't been charged with the crime, and his attorney claims he was investigated and did fully cooperate. What are your thoughts on his cooperation with this investigation?
You're talking about my daughter was found dead on the 12th, all the way until now? What cooperations? When they came to the apartment, I think it was on our third day moving Lauren out of the apartment. That's when they want to do a forensic. Everything has been tampered with. We was moving our daughter out. The only thing that was left in there is several objects that they could have, but they have not turned it in yet for anything to be tested or looked at. My attorney calls. You can actually, if you want to.
Yeah, so the 12th and 13th, the family and then the police came to the scene. As of the 29th, we forced them to collect matters of import, such as a condom with semen in it, a pill that we found on the counter, a bloody sheet, and some lube. And they picked that up on December 29th. As of today's date, those items have still not been turned into the forensic laboratory in Meriden for analysis. And so there's something terribly wrong here. So they have big refrigerations at this lab. It's the only lab we have in the whole state of Connecticut. And as of today, these items still have not been turned in. So we're like, what's going on with this? Where are these items? Why haven't they been analyzed?
Mm-hmm. That's the most unnerving about, if you're going to tell us to leave the apartment, that you're going to do this whole forensic, and at the same time you want to ask the family to give them swabs because we're in the apartment moving, but at the same time, where's the swabs from that night? You know, they want to take our DNA, but they don't want to ask for that person's DNA or anything. And I find that absolutely rude. And they said to us, if we did not give them our DNA, they would not move forward with the investigation.
Wow, dark.
And just on that point, so it's simple. Most of the experts are saying that when you have a case like this, you treat it as a homicide, and if you have to dial it back, you dial it back.
Correct.
But you don't leave it alone and then try to pick up at the end.
Right.
So all the time that's gone by, we know the first 48 is important. We know it's important to preserve everything for analysis. And what they normally do in this world is that they have an unknown, which is unknown is the condom with semen in it. And then you have a known, which is the last person that was with Lauren before she died. You simply swab that person's mouth, a buccal swab for DNA, and you compare the known to the unknown. And that's how you do these investigations. So now we have an unknown, and they just let the known go. And so we're like baffled. And why would you do that?
Exactly.
Darnell, specifically where his cooperation, I asked, what has that been like?
That's been dismal to none. So his lawyer now comes a month later and says something very, very strange. He was on a television show the other day, and they said to him, now that the autopsy's back, what's your response? And he goes, oh, we're not surprised with the findings. And my client's been waiting in the wings, he says, and waiting to cooperate. So Lauren's blood came back full of drugs and different substances. For his lawyer to say they're not surprised leads me to believe either he knew something would be there and he's just not talking about it, or something suspicious is happening with that response. And in terms of, he was requested to give a voluntary DNA, and the lawyer said that he's not going to do that at this time. So I'm not sure what cooperation looks like for them if he won't even give his DNA to clear himself.
Can I jump back in? Also, he said that she was drunk. Her, I think the level was just like a 2 or something.
Yeah, under 0.3.
Yeah, under 0.3, but she was so intoxicated that he had to carry her to her bed, that he said in the police report that she says, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you carry a drunk girl to the bed and still continue to give her drinks?
And I just add to that, when you look at what was found in her body, the experts are saying that these are typical in date rape situations. She had fentanyl in addition to antihistamines. Antihistamines put you to sleep. They make you drowsy.
Right.
So no one who's going on a date with themselves ingests antihistamines because they want to be up and alert. It's a date. But if you're looking for an opportunity on this date to take advantage, then you may introduce antihistamines into the scenario. And we're upset about the fact that they didn't even swab the alcohol to see if there was fentanyl in there. And so now we're playing catch up with this investigation.
Oh boy. Chantel and Darnell, what do you believe happened to Lauren?
I believe that he actually went there to actually to do what happened. You know, he went there to, I guess, to call himself what, getting with her sexually. Maybe she turned him down, and there was another way that he can, you know, have sex with her, give her a date weight drug, get her drunk or whatever. I mean, there was a condom found at the scene.
Chantel, what does justice look like to you, and what can the public do to make sure that Lauren receives justice?
Justice for me, for Lauren, is putting a bill in her name. Justice is making sure that they make this person cooperate the proper way. Justice is making sure that the police department do what they say that they're going to do. Justice for Lauren is also for when they're asking me questions about these police officers, how come they're not doing their jobs?
Right.
They're more interested in other scenarios, but they're not doing their jobs. I want justice for every Black woman, every young Black girl in this world, to make sure that a woman of color, of any color, that family members going through all this stuff with the police department, that I want a bill to come in her name, that they have to act. They have to act as in within 24 hours, you have to let the family know that their loved one is deceased.
Yes.
And another thing is for them to actually know how to follow the handbook and how you're supposed to treat a family member that have lost a loved one. She was my everything. She's the only girl in our family. I mean, being her mother is the happiest time in my life. For those 23 years, she made me happy.
Yeah.
Now I don't know what it is to wake up and not see her, or see her walk through my door, or say, come on, Mommy, get up. Let's do something together. I would never have that anymore.
Yeah.
That's why I want. My justice for Lauren is for everybody to realize that a Black woman, a Black child, life matters.
Yes.
It does. We are not rubbish.
Absolutely.
Crossland pointed out that the cups with liquid still sitting in that apartment, the ones that were not collected for 17 days, were never swabbed to check if anything had been added to them. The investigation was already behind, and now it was playing catch-up on evidence that had been sitting in plain sight since December 12th. The attorney said it plainly. This was looking less like an accident and more like something that needed a much harder look. Then came the deposition. Lauren's mother, Chantel, sat across from Detective Kevin Cronin and the City of Bridgeport's lawyer. Her attorney, Darnell Crossland, asked Cronin directly, did he have anything he wanted to say to Ms. Fields about how her daughter's case was handled? Cronin looked her dead in the face and said, no. The city's lawyer followed that up by telling them he did not owe her anything, and then Cronin said, I already missed 2 paychecks behind your daughter. 2 paychecks. Like, that is what he reduced Lauren's life to. 2 paychecks, while her mother sat right there. When Crossland pushed further and asked why the man who was present that night was never properly questioned, the city's lawyer said he was just there at the wrong time. That was the answer. That was the city's position. After that, things fell apart completely. The deposition turned into chaos. The family was told to leave. Cronin threatened to call the police on a grieving mother in an attorney's office during a legal proceeding. Chantel later said she was so scared she did not know what was going to happen. The thing that broke her most was not the shouting. It was that a detective had looked her in the eyes and reduced her daughter's entire life to 2 missed paychecks. You don't have 2 paychecks. I would never have my daughter again. How about that? Now here is where this story shifts into something that goes beyond one family's pain. On the same day Lauren was found, December 12th, 2021, another woman was discovered unresponsive just miles away, also in Bridgeport. Her name was Brenda Lee Rawls. She was 53 years old. The man she had been with called authorities, saying he woke up to find her not breathing. Similar words, almost the exact same story. Brenda's family, just like Lauren's was never reached out to by police. The investigation into her case was just as thin, and the same 2 detectives handled both. Let me say that again slowly. 2 women, same day, same city. Both found unresponsive after being with a man. Both black, same detectives, same failures. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern. And once that connection became public, once people understood this was not an isolated case of one detective having a bad day, the conversation changed entirely. Lauren's family took her story to the public, and the public responded. On what would have been Lauren's 24th birthday, thousands of people gathered in Bridgeport and marched through the streets. They chanted her name. They demanded answers. They were not going away. The city had no choice but to respond. Mayor Joe Ganim addressed the public and called the handling of both cases unacceptable. He announced that detectives Kevin Cronin and Angel Llanos had been suspended pending an internal affairs investigation. Oh, so now it's unacceptable. After weeks of a family being ignored, after the streets filled up, after it went national, now there is concern. But hey, the suspensions came. The mayor stood in front of cameras and said families deserve to be notified of a loved one's passing with dignity and respect. He called it an unacceptable failure. What he did not say was why it took this long to get there. Multiple people also came forward to the family's attorney with claims that Matthew had some kind of personal connection to someone inside the Bridgeport Police Department. Attorney Crossland began pursuing Detective Cronin's phone records to find out if there had been any contact between the 2 of them. Because what else would explain it? A man was present when a 23-year-old woman died. He was allowed to walk away without a real conversation, without testing, without anything. And the detectives read was simply that he seemed like a nice guy. Matthew's attorney maintained throughout that his client had no connection to any detective and that he was innocent. No commitment was ever made on the DNA question. The Bridgeport Police Department opened a criminal investigation into the circumstances surrounding Lauren's passing. The DEA was brought in at one point to assist. And at the end of it, no charges were filed, no arrests were made. No arrests were made. The criminal investigation that was opened after all that public pressure, it went nowhere. The DEA came in. Internal Affairs looked at the detectives. Phone records were pursued. And at the end of all of it, Matthew LaFountain walked away without a single charge. No arrest, no trial, no day in court for Lauren's family to sit through and watch someone answer for what happened to her. The 2 detectives, Cronin and Llanos, were suspended, but even that did not hold. Those suspensions were later overturned on appeal. Both detectives were reinstated, so the men who mishandled the case got their jobs back, and the man who was the last person to see Lauren alive never had to answer a single question under oath. That is where the criminal side of this story ends. Not with a verdict, not with justice, just silence. But Lauren's family was not done. Attorney Darnell Crossland filed a formal legal notice against the city of Bridgeport on behalf of the family, and eventually a $60 million civil suit was filed, combining Lauren's case with Brenda Lee Rawls' family against the city and the police department. The claims covered civil rights violations, negligence, failure to properly investigate, and failure to notify families of their loved ones passing in a timely or dignified way. The city pushed back. Motions to dismiss portions of the case were filed. As of early 2025, parts of that lawsuit were still active in court. 3 years later, still in court, still waiting. The family was not just fighting for money. They were fighting so that no other mother would have to find out her child was gone from a note stuck to a door, so that no other family would spend 17 days calling a detective who never called back. And while the courts moved slowly, the legislature actually moved. Connecticut lawmakers passed a bill in Lauren's name. Under Lauren's law, every police department in the state of Connecticut is now required to notify a family within 24 hours of a loved one's passing, or make a clear, documented effort to do so. 24 hours. That is the standard now. A basic human decent thing that had to be written into law because of what this family went through. Lauren's law passed unanimously. Think about that for a second. Every single lawmaker voted yes, because when you strip away all the noise, the politics, the legal arguments, the back and forth, what this law asks for is simple. Tell a family their person is gone. Do it with dignity. Do it on time. That should never have needed a law, but it does now, and Lauren's name is on it. Her family marched for it. They showed up. They kept talking when the city wanted them to be quiet. They put her face in front of every camera they could find, and something actually changed because of it. That does not bring Lauren back. But it means that somewhere in Connecticut, another family will get a phone call instead of a note on a door, and that matters. Every year on January 23rd, Lauren's mother, Chantel, goes live. She thanks everyone who called, everyone who remembered, everyone who sent a picture or left a comment, and every single year she says the same thing. I miss her dearly so much. Lauren Smith Fields would have been 27 years old. She never got to finish her physical therapy degree, never got to see where her business would go, never got to take another trip, post another video, or just live. All of that was cut short on a night that the people responsible for investigating it decided was not worth their full attention. Matthew LaFountain has never been charged. He has stayed out of the public eye. The case remains open but cold, and Lauren's family is still pushing, still waiting, still demanding answers that have never come. What this case showed is something a lot of people already knew but needed the rest of the world to see. When a Black woman goes missing or dies under unclear circumstances, the urgency is not always there. The attention is not automatic. The calls do not always get returned, and sometimes a family has to march in the streets, get on every news channel, and fight for 17 days of basic dignity just to have the evidence in their daughter's apartment collected. That is the reality Lauren's case put on record. Her family made sure of it, and now so does the law. If this story moved you, and it should have, share it. Put it in front of somebody who needs to see it. Cases like Lauren's stay buried when nobody talks about them, and this family has been fighting too long and too hard for that to happen. Subscribe to Crime Pocket TV if you have not already. We cover the cases that matter. The ones where real people are behind every headline and real families are still waiting for answers. Lauren Smith Fields. Say her name. We will see you in the next one.